ExamPrep.School. Virginia Public Adjuster Insurance Exam, exam code SERIES 11-8. There are 6 practice exams in this series. This video covers Practice Exam 1. The first 20 questions are free. In this video, we will be covering the following major categories for Practice Exam 1. Adjusting losses, business owner's policy, commercial package policy, dwelling policy, homeowner's policy, insurance basics, insurance regulation. Other coverages? Let's walk through the format. I'll read each question and its choices. Let's get started. Question 1. Which of the following applicants meets Virginia's initial licensing requirements for a public adjuster? A 24-year-old resident who completed the required pre-licensing course, passed the exam 14 months ago, has no criminal history, and filed the application immediately after passing the exam. B, a 21-year-old resident who completed only 60 hours of the pre-licensing course, passed the exam 5 months ago, has no criminal history, and filed the application within 12 months of passing the exam. C, a 19-year-old Virginia resident who completed the required 90-hour pre-licensing course, passed the exam 8 months ago, has a felony conviction from 6 years ago, and filed the application within 12 months of passing the exam. D, a 22-year-old resident who completed the required pre-licensing course, passed the exam 3 months ago, and had a felony conviction 3 years ago, with the application filed within 12 months of passing the exam. A countdown circle appears in the top right. Once it completes, the answer is revealed. You can pause at any time if you'd like longer to think. If you'd like additional practice covering more topics, see the description for our book. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is the 19-year-old applicant because all eligibility criteria, minimum age, completion of the required course hours, passing the exam within the past year, and a felony conviction older than 5 years are satisfied. Reason A is not correct. This response is incorrect because the application was filed more than 12 months after passing the exam, exceeding the allowed time frame. Reason B is not correct. This response is incorrect because it falls short of the state's required pre-licensing course hours. Reason D is not correct. This response is incorrect because the felony conviction is less than 5 years old, which disqualifies the applicant. Question 2. Jordan, a Maryland resident and a licensed public adjuster in Maryland, plans to solicit and adjust homeowner claims in Virginia without relocating. Under Virginia public adjuster regulations, what must Jordan do before legally adjusting claims in Virginia? A, submit a certificate of licensure from Maryland and pay the Virginia non-resident public adjuster license fee. B, obtain a resident Virginia public adjuster license within 90 days of first adjusting a claim. C, provide a surety bond equal to twice the required net worth without filing a license application. D, secure a county-level public adjuster permit instead of a state license. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is to submit a certificate of licensure from the home state and pay the non-resident license fee. Virginia requires non-resident public adjusters to hold a valid license in another jurisdiction, file an application with the SCC, and pay the prescribed fee before adjusting claims in Virginia. Reason B is not correct. This is incorrect because non-residents cannot adjust under a temporary window. They must secure a non-resident license before transacting business. Reason C is not correct. This is incorrect because posting a bond alone does not replace the requirement to apply for and obtain a non-resident license. Reason D is not correct. This is incorrect because county permits do not satisfy the statewide licensing requirement for public adjusters in Virginia. Question 3. Under Virginia insurance regulations, which action by a public adjuster would constitute a prohibited misrepresentation of policy provisions to a claimant? A, advising a claimant to refer to the policy's declarations page for coverage limits. B, representing to a claimant that damage from sewer backup is covered without the required endorsement. C, informing a claimant that actual cash value settlement includes a depreciation deduction. D. Explaining that the insurer must conduct a reasonable inspection before issuing payment. The correct answer is B. Representing sue or backup is covered under a standard policy without the required endorsement, misstates the policy provisions, and is expressly prohibited. Reason A is not correct. This advice accurately directs claimants to the declarations page and does not misstate any provision. Reason C is not correct. This correctly describes how actual cash value settlements apply depreciation and is not a misrepresentation. Reason D is not correct. Explaining the insurer's inspection requirement correctly reflects procedural obligations, not a misstatement of coverage. Question 4. Under Virginia law, the State Corporation Commission, when investigating public insurance adjusters, has all of the following powers except A. Subpoena the adjuster's business records for examination. B. Administer oaths and take sworn testimony from witnesses. C. Conduct on-site examinations of an adjuster's offices. D. File criminal charges against an unlicensed adjuster. The correct answer is D. The State Corporation Commission's investigatory authority is administrative in nature. It may issue subpoenas, administer oaths, and conduct examinations, but it does not have the power to file criminal charges. Reason A is not correct. The Commission is expressly authorized to issue subpoenas to obtain records during an investigation. Reason B is not correct. The Commission has the authority to administer oaths and record sworn testimony. Reason C is not correct. The Commission may conduct on-site examinations of adjuster records and premises. Question 5. Which of the following situations is an example of a speculative risk rather than a pure risk? A. A homeowner faces possible flood damage and either incurs a loss or escapes unscathed. B. An investor purchases stock that may appreciate, depreciate, or remain unchanged. C. A tenant's apartment may suffer a fire loss, resulting in damage or no damage. D. A retailer's shipment of high-value electronics might be stolen or delivered intact. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is the purchase of stock, which can result in gain, loss, or no change, and thus constitutes speculative risk. Pure risks only present the chance of loss or no loss, not a profit. Reason A is not correct. Only loss or no loss is possible in flood damage, characteristic of pure risk. Reason C is not correct. Fire exposure leads solely to loss or no loss, making it a pure risk. Reason D is not correct. Shipment theft also results only in loss or no loss, so it is a pure risk. Question 6. Which of the following examples best illustrates a moral hazard in property insurance? A. A homeowner neglects to lock doors believing insurance will cover any theft loss. B. A restaurant owner intentionally omits past fire incidents on the application to reduce premiums. C. An apartment building has faulty wiring that increases the chance of electrical fire. D. A tenant ignores small maintenance issues, assuming the landlord's policy will handle any damage. The correct answer is B. The correct answer involves deliberately withholding material information to gain favorable insurance terms, which is a moral hazard. The other scenarios represent physical conditions or attitude-based morale hazards rather than intentional deceit. Reason A is not correct. Neglecting locks reflects an attitude of carelessness, morale hazard, not deceit. Reason C is not correct. Faulty wiring is a physical hazard stemming from a dangerous condition. Reason D is not correct. Ignoring maintenance due to lax attitude is a morale hazard, not moral. Question 7. After a severe thunderstorm, wind removed sections of roof shingles, allowing rainwater to seep into the attic over several days. The homeowner arranged for mold remediation, drywall replacement, and installed a temporary tarp, and stayed in a hotel while permanent repairs were completed. Which of the following expenses represents an indirect loss under property insurance principles? A. Cost of mold remediation in the attic. B. Replacement of wet drywall. C. Installation of a temporary roof tarp. D. Hotel lodging expenses during repairs. The correct answer is D. This option is correct because temporary lodging expenses arise as a consequence of property damage, but do not involve physical repair of the insured property, distinguishing indirect loss from direct damage or mitigation cost. Reason A is not correct. Mold remediation addresses physical damage from water intrusion, classifying it as a direct loss. Reason B is not correct. Drywall replacement repairs physical damage caused by water infiltration, making it a direct loss. Reason C is not correct. Temporary tarp installation is a mitigation measure involving property repair, so it is a direct loss expense. Question 8. Which of the following is not normally included on the declarations page of a property insurance policy? A. Policy effective and expiration dates. B. Description of the insured premises. C. Exclusions applying to coverage. D. Amount and type of deductible. The correct answer is C. The declarations page summarizes key information such as policy period, premises description, and deductibles, while exclusions are detailed in the policy's exclusions section, not on the declarations page. Reason A is not correct. Policy dates are a fundamental part of the declarations page indicating the policy term. Reason B is not correct. The location of the insured property is always listed on the declarations page for identification. Reason D is not correct. Deductible details are typically shown on the declarations page to inform the insured of cost-sharing provisions. Question 9. Which of the following best describes the primary purpose of the insuring agreement in a property insurance policy? A. Provide formal definitions for policy terms and jargon. B. Detail the policy's exclusions, conditions, and endorsements. C. Establish the procedures and timelines for appraisal and valuation. D. Explain the insurer's promise to cover specified losses and the scope of that coverage. The correct answer is D. The insuring agreement sets forth the insurer's promise to pay for or indemnify against covered losses under the policy, defining what is insured and under what circumstances. Reason A is not correct. Formal definitions are contained in the definitions section, not within the insuring agreement. Reason B is not correct. Exclusions and conditions are located in their respective policy sections, not primarily in the insuring agreement. Reason C is not correct. Appraisal and valuation procedures are outlined in the conditions section, separate from the insuring agreement. Question 10. A homeowner's policy condition states, in case of loss, the insured must 1. Give written notice as soon as practicable, and 2. Within 60 days after we request, furnish a signed, sworn proof of loss. Under this provision, which duty is applicable only upon the insurer's request? A. Provide written notice of loss as soon as practicable. B. Furnish a signed, sworn proof of loss. C. Protect damaged property from further harm. D. Cooperate with the insurer's inspection. The correct answer is B. The policy language makes clear that the proof of loss obligation arises only after a formal request by the insurer, whereas notice, protection, and cooperation duties apply immediately upon loss. Reason A is not correct. Written notice must be given immediately after loss regardless of any request by the insurer. Reason C is not correct. Protecting the property is an immediate duty and does not depend on the insurer's request. Reason D is not correct. Cooperation with inspection is required promptly after loss, not solely upon insurer request. Question 11. Which of the following factors is not typically used when determining the actual cash value of damaged property under a property insurance policy? A. Changes in fair market value due to economic conditions. B. Depreciation resulting from functional obsolescence. C. Replacement cost of materials and labor at time of loss. D. Depreciation attributable to physical wear and tear. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is changes in fair market value due to economic conditions because actual cash value is calculated based on replacement cost minus depreciation factors, and market value fluctuations are not considered in the ACV calculation. Reason B is not correct. Functional obsolescence is a form of depreciation that insurers account for in an ACV calculation. Reason C is not correct. Replacement cost at the time of loss is the starting point before depreciation is applied in the ACV formula. Reason D is not correct. Depreciation for physical wear and tear is subtracted from replacement cost when determining actual cash value. Question 12. An adjuster is evaluating a claim for damaged ornate marble flooring in a historic estate. The policy includes a functional replacement cost endorsement. The original marble is unique and locally unavailable, but the adjuster can install modern ceramic tiles that replicate appearance and performance. Which cost basis will the insurer use to determine the settlement under this endorsement? A. Actual cash value of the marble flooring. B. Market value of the estate after repairs. C. Cost to replace with modern ceramic tiles under the functional replacement cost endorsement. D. Replacement cost new for identical marble flooring. The correct answer is C. The functional replacement cost endorsement reimburses the insured for the cost of replacing damaged property with materials that perform the same function, even if they are not identical to the original. It does not pay depreciation or require identical materials. Reason A is not correct. Actual cash value applies depreciation to a replacement cost, which this endorsement does not do. Reason B is not correct. Market value reflects the property's sale price and is not used for claim settlement under this endorsement. Reason C is not correct. Replacement cost new for identical materials would require sourcing the original marble, which the functional replacement cost endorsement does not provide. Question 13. Under Virginia insurance law, at what point must an insurable interest exist in property for a claim under the policy to be valid? A. When the policy is first issued. B. When proof of loss is submitted. C. Upon policy renewal. D. At the time of the loss. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is because Virginia statutes require an insurable interest to exist at the time of the loss in order to recover under a property insurance policy. Reason A is not correct. An interest at policy issuance alone does not satisfy Virginia's requirement for recovery under the policy. Reason B is not correct. Filing proof of loss is a procedural step and does not determine when insurable interest must exist. Reason C is not correct. Renewal timing is not the statutory point for establishing insurable interest in Virginia. Question 14. A homeowner's dwelling is insured for $500,000 on a replacement cost basis, but the actual cost to rebuild after a covered total loss is $350,000. Under the principle of indemnity and to prevent overinsurance, the insurer will most likely pay A. $350,000, the lesser of the policy limit and actual replacement cost. B. $500,000, the full policy limit for replacement cost. C. $350,000 minus depreciation to reflect actual cash value. D. A pro rata refund of premium for the $150,000 amount of overinsurance. The correct answer is A. The principle of indemnity prohibits the insured from profiting. The insurer's obligation is limited to the actual loss amount, so payment is the lesser of policy limit and replacement cost. not exceeding the $350,000 needed to rebuild. Reason B is not correct. It overstates the insurer's duty, since indemnity limits payment to actual loss rather than the full policy limit when overinsurance exists. Reason C is not correct. It applies a depreciation adjustment, which replacement cost coverage does not include under a replacement cost basis policy. Reason D is not correct. It incorrectly assumes insurers refund unearned premium for coverage limits above the loss, which is not standard practice. Question 15. Under the Virginia regulations governing public adjusters' first notice of loss intake requirements, which of the following pieces of information is not explicitly required to be obtained at the time of first notice of loss? A. Policy number. B. Social Security number of the insured. C. Estimated dollar value of loss. D. Date and approximate time of loss. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is the Social Security number of the insured, as the regulations mandate recording the policy number, date and time of loss, and an estimate of loss, but do not require the insured's Social Security number. Reason A is not correct. This option is incorrect because the policy number must be recorded during first notice of loss. Reason C is not correct. This option is incorrect because an estimated dollar value of the loss must be obtained at intake. Reason D is not correct. This option is incorrect because regulations explicitly require noting the date and approximate time of loss. Question 16. Which action should the adjuster take to both ensure personal safety and preserve structural integrity when planning the inspection? A. Use binoculars from ground level to assess damage before climbing. B. Wear non-slip boots, probe boards for stability, and use an anchored fall arrest harness. C. Wear non-slip boots and steady ladder against the fascia without a harness. D. Schedule the roof inspection at peak daylight hours without fall protection. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is to wear non-slip boots, test decking stability, and employ a properly anchored fall arrest harness to address both slip and fall hazards while evaluating structural soundness. Reason A is not correct. Assessing damage from the ground misses hidden structural weaknesses requiring close-up evaluation. Reason C is not correct. Non-slip boots aid grist but lacking a harness leaves the adjuster unprotected from falls. Reason D is not correct. Inspecting without fall protection increases risk of serious injury despite optimal lighting. Question 17. Which procedure best preserves the chain of custody before sending the samples to a third-party laboratory? A. Assign unique sample IDs, double bag and tamper-evident packaging, and log each handler's name, date, and time. B. Photograph samples on scene and ship them in a polystyrene container without signatures. C. Store samples in ventilated zip-top bags and hand them off verbally to the lab courier. D. Seal samples in envelopes, note collection date, and omit handler initials for faster processing. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is to assign unique identifiers, use tamper-evident packaging, and document all handoffs with names, dates, and times to maintain an unbroken chain of custody. Reason B is not correct. Shipping without signatures fails to document who handled evidence after collection. Reason C is not correct. Ventilated bags and verbal handoffs allow unauthorized access and lack formal recording. Reason D is not correct. Omitting handler initials breaks the custody record and undermines evidence integrity. Question 18. Which interviewing approach will best facilitate accurate and reliable information gathering in this situation? A. Begin with open-ended questions, allow a narrative account, then use targeted follow-ups to clarify details. B. Ask leading yes, no questions to quickly narrow down critical facts. C. Pose multiple questions at once to cover more ground within time constraints. D. Provide suggested answers to jog memory and guide the interviewee. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is to start with open-ended prompts to let the interviewee describe events freely, then follow up with focused questions to ensure clarity and completeness. Reason B is not correct. Leading yes, no questions can introduce bias and restrict detailed responses. Reason C is not correct. Asking multiple questions at once overwhelms the interviewee and reduces clarity. Reason D is not correct. Offering suggested answers risks implanting inaccurate memories and biasing responses. Question 19. Which type of depreciation amount withheld by an insurer from an actual cash value settlement is recoverable once the insured provides proof of replacement? A. Depreciation deducted to account for wear and tear that is permanently forfeited. B. Depreciation based on functional obsolescence adjustment. C. Depreciation withheld until the insured submits satisfactory proof of replacement. D. Depreciation applied only when the insurer cannot verify pre-loss condition. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is that recoverable depreciation is the portion of the loss withheld by the insurer from the actual cash value settlement and paid to the insured once proof of replacement is submitted. Reason A is not correct. That describes non-recoverable depreciation, which is never reclaimed. Reason B is not correct. That describes an adjustment for functional obsolescence, not recoverable depreciation. Reason D is not correct. That refers to verification of pre-loss condition rather than the proof of replacement requirement. Question 20. Under Virginia insurance regulations, within how many days must an insurer pay recoverable depreciation after receiving satisfactory proof of replacement? A. 30 days. B. 10 days. C. 60 days. D. 90 days. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is that Virginia law requires the insurer to remit recoverable depreciation within 30 days of receiving satisfactory proof of replacement. Reason B is not correct. That time frame is too brief and not supported by the regulation. Reason C is not correct. That deadline applies to other settlement types, not recoverable depreciation. Reason D is not correct. That extended period exceeds the regulatory requirement for depreciation payment. Enjoyed this practice test? Tap like. Hit subscribe and share it with a classmate. Got a question we should tweak? Comment below. We read them all. Find full practice exam books in the description or at ExamPrep.School.